Liu Bei, courtesy name Xuande, was a warlord in the late Eastern Han dynasty who founded the state of Shu Han in the Three Kingdoms period and became its first ruler. Despite having a later start than his rivals and lacking both the material resources and social status they commanded, Liu Bei overcame his many defeats to carve out his own realm, which at its peak spanned present-day Sichuan, Chongqing, Guizhou, Hunan, parts of Hubei, and parts of Gansu. Culturally, due to the popularity of the historical novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms by Luo Guanzhong, Liu Bei is widely known as an ideal benevolent, humane ruler who cared for his people and selected good advisors for his government. His fictional counterpart in the novel was a salutary example of a ruler who adhered to the Confucian set of the moral values, such as loyalty and compassion. Historically, Liu Bei was a brilliant politician and leader whose skill was a remarkable demonstration of a legalist. His political philosophy can best be described by the Chinese idiom Confucian in appearance but legalist in substance, a style of governing which had become the norm after the founding of the Han dynasty. Physical appearance. The historical text records of the Three Kingdoms described Liu Bei as a man 7 chi and 5 cun tall, with long arms that extended beyond his knees, and ears so large that he could see them. The historical novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms by Luo Guanzhong gave a similar description about Liu Bei's physical appearance, but with additional features. It mentioned that Liu Bei was 7 chi and 5 cun tall, with ears so large that they touched his shoulders and that he could even see them, long arms that extended beyond his knees, a fair and handsome face, and lips so red that it seemed as though he wore lipstick. Pedigree. According to the historical text records of the Three Kingdoms, Liu Bei was born in Tuo County, Tuo Commandery. He was a descendant of Liu Tsen, a son of Liu Sheng and a grandson of Emperor Jing. However, Huison's commentary, based on the Dian Liu, said that Liu Bei was a descendant of the Marquis of Lanai. The title of Marquis of Lanai was held by Liu Fu, and later by Liu Fu's son Liu Chotu. All three descended from Emperor Jing. Liu Bei's grandfather Liu Xiong and father Liu Hong were both employed as local clerks. Liu Bei grew up in a poor family, having lost his father when he was still a child. To support themselves, Liu Bei and his mother sold shoes and straw-woven mats. Even so, Liu Bei was full of ambition since childhood. He once said to his peers, while under a tree that resembled the royal chariot, that he desired to become an emperor. At the age of 14, Liu Bei, sponsored by a more affluent relative who recognized his potential and leadership, went to study under the tutelage of Liu Zi. There he met and befriended Gongsun Zan, who would become a prominent warlord in northern China later. The adolescent Liu Bei was said to be unenthusiastic in studying and displayed interest in hunting, music and dressing. Concise in speech, calm in demeanor, and kind to his friends, Liu Bei was well liked by his contemporaries. Yellow Turban Rebellion. In 184, at the outbreak of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, Liu Bei called for the assembly of a volunteer army to help government forces suppress the rebellion. Liu Bei received financial contributions from two wealthy horse merchants named Zhang Shipping and Su Shuang and rallied a group of loyal followers, among whom include Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Liu Bei led his army to join the provincial army. Together, they scored several victories against the rebels. In recognition of his contributions, Liu Bei was appointed prefect of Engxi and Zongshan Commandery. He resigned after refusing to submit to a corrupt inspector who attempted to ask him for bribes. He then traveled south with his followers to join another volunteer army to suppress the Yellow Turbans' remnants in Zhou province. For that achievement, he was appointed prefect and commandant of Gaotang. Warlord state, succeeding Tao Qian, in 192, after the splitting of the coalition against Dongtuo, China sank into civil war and chaos. Overrun by rebels, Liu Bei moved north to join Gongsun Zan, who was at war with Yuan Shaw for control of Ji province and Qing province. Gongsun Zan appointed Liu Bei as the prefect of Pingyuan County under Tian Kai to fight Yuan Shaw in Shandong, but was held off by Yuan Shaw's eldest son, Yuan Tan, and later lost Gongsun Zan's interest in the area to Yuan Tan. In 194, Yuan Shaw's ally, Cao Cao, launched a campaign against Tao Qian in Zhou province. At the time, there were two opposing alliances: Yuanshu, Tao Qian, and Gongsun on one side, Yuanshu, Cao Cao, and Liu Bei on the other. In face of strong pressure from Cao Cao's invading force, Tao Qian appealed to Tian Kai for help. Tian Kai and Liu Bei led their armies to support Tao Qian. Despite initial success on the invasion, Cao Cao's subordinate Zhang Mu rebelled and allowed ljoʊ bushel to take over Cao's base in Yan province, forcing Cao to retreat from Zhou province. Tao Qian asked Liu Bei to station his army in nearby Xiaopi and gave him 4,000 more troops, in addition to 1,000 or so troops and some Yuan cavalry already under his command. Thus, Liu Bei deserted his supervisor Tian Kai for Tao Qian. Meantime, Liu Bei raised troops around the area, and actively built up connections with influential clans and people of the region. In a rather short period of time, he had gained the support of the two most powerful families in Zhou province, the Mi clan led by Mi Tzu and Mi Fang, and the Chen clan led by Chen Gui and Chen Deng. Liu Bei also married Mi Tzu's younger sister Lady Mi to draw support from the Mi clan. Upon Tao Qian's death shortly after, Liu Bei secured his position around the area by building up connections and an army. The Mi clan strongly advocated the governorship be passed on to Liu Bei instead of Tao Qian's sons. Liu Bei was hesitant and apprehensive towards taking the post when Chen Kun told him that Yuanshu would contest the control of the province with him. Liu Bei then consulted Kong Rong and Chen Deng, who advised him to switch ally and seek confirmation from the leading warlord, Yuanshu. Liu Bei finally took over Zhou province after Yuanshu recognized his succession. Conflict with ljoʊ bushel. In 195, ljoʊ bushel was defeated by Cao Cao and sought shelter under Liu Bei. In the next year, Yuanshu sent his general Jiling with a large army to invade Zhou province. Liu Bei led his army to Qiandui and a counter. They faced each other for a month without any decisive result. Zhang Fei, who was left behind by Liu to guard Xiaopi, killed Cao Bao after an intense quarrel. Cao Bao's death caused unrest in the city, providing ljoʊ bushel with an opportunity to seize control of the city, capturing the families of Liu Bei and his men during the surprise attack. Liu Bei returned to Xiaopi on receiving the news, but his army disintegrated by the time he arrived. Liu Bei rallied his remaining men and moved to Guangling, where he was defeated by Yuanshu. Liu Bei then retreated to Hexi, Donghai Commandery. Faced with enemies on both sides and a lack of supplies, Liu Bei's army resorted to cannibalism, and finally surrendered to ljoʊ bushel, who recognized Liu's pledge of allegiance, and returned his family as an act of good faith, and ordered Liu to help him resist Yuanshu. ljoʊ bushel, fearing isolation, obstructed further attempts by Yuanshu to eliminate Liu Bei. Liu Bei moved his camp to Xiaopi, where he rebuilt his army, gathering over 10,000 men. ljoʊ bushel became concerned and attacked Xiaopi. Liu Bei fled to Xuande, where Cao Cao received him well, gave him some troops, provisions, and official appointment of governor of Yu province. Liu Bei then reassumed his post in Xiaopi to keep an eye on ljoʊ bushel. In 198, ljoʊ bushel renewed his alliance with Yuanshu to stem Cao Cao's growing influence and sent Gao Shan and Zhang Liao to attack Liu Bei. Cao Cao sent Xiahou Dun to support Liu Bei, but they were defeated by Gao Shan. Liu Bei had to flee to Cao Cao again. Cao Cao personally led an army to eliminate ljoʊ bushel and achieved victory at the Battle of Xiaopi. Role in the Cao-Yuan conflict. By 199, Cao Cao had Emperor Xian in his control and enjoyed a political advantage. Liu Bei joined a conspiracy headed by Dong Cheng, an imperial relative, and some others to remove Cao Cao from power. Moreover, he was anxious to leave Cao Cao's stronghold, Xuande. Hence, on hearing that Yuanshu had surrendered to, and was on his way, via Xiaopi, to join Yuanshu in the north, Liu Bei asked to lead an army to intercept Yuanshu. Before his advisors were able to change his mind, Cao Cao consented, commissioned Liu Bei and Su Ling with an army to move south. Having his path blocked, Yuan Shu turned back to Sichuan and died there later. Su Ling returned to Xukang, but Liu stayed behind with the army. Liu Bei seized the opportunity to kill Zhou, the governor of Zhou province who was appointed by the imperial court after La 1/4 bushel's defeat. Liu Bei took over Zhou province and left Guanyu behind to guard Xiaopi while he stationed himself in Xiaopi. Yuan Shu, who earlier recognized Liu Bei's control on Zhou province, had defeated Gongsun Zan, and started moving against Cao Cao on the northern bank of the Yellow River. Knowing that he still had a plenty of spies and cohort inside the imperial capital, Liu Bei sent his messenger, Sun Qian, to Yuan Shu to request an immediate attack be launched against Cao Cao. However, Yuan Shu turned down Liu Bei's plea, even though his own strategists advised him to do Liu a favor. In 200, Dongcheng's plot was discovered. All conspirators and their families were summarily executed. However, Liu Bei, as well as a few others who were outside Cao Cao's domain, survived the purge. With his domestic situation settled, Cao Cao turned his attention to his last great rival in the north, Yuan Shu. Cao fortified many of the key crossing points on the Yellow River which divided his territory from Yuan's. He personally made camp at Guizhou with his main army. To eliminate Yuan Shu's last southern ally, Cao sent his subordinates, Liu Dai and Wang Sung against Liu Bei, but they were defeated. Predicting that Yuan Shu would be hesitant to go on the offensive, Cao Cao led his army away from Guizhou to personally overrun Liu Bei's position. He overcame Liu Bei in an extremely short period of time, leaving Yuan Shu no chance to aid Liu on second thought. Yuan Shu's attempt to reinforce Liu was repulsed by Yu Jin, whom Cao Cao had left in command of his troops at Yan Ford. Liu Bei's force disintegrated under the weight of Cao Cao's assault, but his trusted aides all survived the war. Zhang fully protected Liu Bei when the latter fled from the battlefield, while Guan Yu surrendered to Cao Cao on terms that he could return to Liu Bei's service if the latter was alive. Liu Bei fled north to join Yuan Shu, where he was received with respect by Yuan Shu and his son Yuan Tan. Liu Bei participated in the unsuccessful battles along the Yellow River, in which Yuan Shu successively lost two of his best generals Yan Liang and Wen Chu, with the former being slain by Guan Yu. As Liu Bei and Hunan rebelled against Cao Cao, Liu Bei persuaded Yuan Shu to lend him an army to help Liu Bei. Liu Bei and Liu Bei attacked Xukang but were defeated by Cao Ren. Liu Bei returned to the north and urged Yuan Shu to ally with Liu Bei, governor of Jing province. Yuan Shu again sent him with an army to Hunan to aid the bandit leader, Gongdu. They were able to kill Cao Cao's general Kai Yang there. Taking refuge under Liu Bei, in 201, Cao Cao led his army to attack Liu Bei in Hunan after defeating Yuan Shu at the Battle of Guizhou. Liu Bei fled to Jing province to seek refuge under Liu Bei. Liu Bei welcomed Liu Bei personally, treating him as an honored guest. He also gave Liu Bei some troops and asked him to station in Xinai. Liu Bei stayed in Jing province for several years. During a meeting with Liu Bei, Liu Bei started weeping and a surprised Liu Bei asked why. Liu Bei answered, in earlier times, I've never left the saddle. My thighs were thin. Now I do not ride anymore, they are fat and flabby. The days and months pass like a stream, and old age will come, but I have achieved nothing. That's why I am sad. In 202, Cao Cao sent Yu Jin and Xiahou Dun to attack Liu Bei. Liu Bei ambushed and defeated them at the Battle of Baoang. In 207, Cao Cao planned a campaign to conquer the Yuan in the north, but was apprehensive that Liu Bei might attack his base, but he was assured by Guo Jiao that Liu Bei would not do so for fear of Liu Bei being more powerful than he was. Cao Cao agreed and Guo Jiao's point was proven later, when Liu Bei refused to attack Xukang when Liu Bei advised him to do so. Away from the battlefields in the east and under Liu Bei's efficient rule, Jing province was prosperous and a popular destination for literati fleeing from the destruction of war. Liu Bei asked Sima Hui, a revered recluse, about scholars. Sima Hui named Zhu Liang and Pang Tong as exceptional talents who could comprehend important events of their time well. Zhu Shu also urged Liu Bei to call on Zhu Liang. Liu Bei went to see Zhu Liang and finally had an audience with him after 3 visits. Zhu Liang presented Liu Bei with his Lunzhong Plan, a generalized long-term plan outlining the takeover of Jing Province and Yi Province to set up a 2-pronged final strike at the imperial capital. Liu Bei died in 208 and his younger son Liu Kong succeeded him and surrendered to Cao Cao without informing Liu Bei. By the time Liu Bei heard news of Liu Kong's surrender, Cao Cao's army had already reached Wancheng. Liu Bei led his troops away and abandoned Feincheng, leading civilians and his followers on an exodus to the south. By the time they reached Dangyang, his followers numbered more than 100,000 and they moved only 10 li a day. Liu Bei sent Guan Yu ahead to wait for him in Jiangling, where abundant supplies and arsenal were stored, with Jing Province's fleet. Afraid that Liu Bei might reach Jiangling before him, Cao Cao led his cavalry on pursuit. In a day and a night, Cao Cao caught up with Liu and captured most of his people and baggage at the Battle of Changban. Leaving his family behind, Liu Bei fled with only scores of followers. With Guan Yu's fleet, they crossed the Mian River to Zhangxia and the Yangtze River to Xiakou with Liu Qi, Liu Bei's elder son, and his men. Alliance with Sun Quan, Battle of Red Cliffs. When Liu Bei was still at Changban, Sun Quan's envoy Lu Su hinted to him that he should ally with Sun against Cao Cao. Zhu Liang went to meet Sun Quan, as Liu Bei's envoy, together with Lu Su at Chazang to discuss the formation of the alliance. Liu Bei and Sun Quan formed their first coalition against the southward expansion of Cao Cao. The two sides clashed at the Red Cliffs. Cao Cao boasted 830,000 men, while the alliance at best had 50,000 troops under the leadership of Zhou Yu. Cao Cao's core troops were mostly northerners, so they were unable to adapt to the southern climate and naval warfare, and that posed a major disadvantage to Cao. Subsequently, a plague broke out that undermined the strength of Cao Cao's army. The fire attack masterminded by Zhou Yu and Huang Gai succeeded against Cao Cao's chain-linked vessels and most of Cao's navy was destroyed in the battle. The majority of Cao Cao's troops were burnt to death or drowned in the river while the survivors who successfully retreated to the riverbank were ambushed and killed by skirmishers. Cao Cao barely escaped after his defeat. He retreated back to the north and left behind Cao Ren and Zhu Huang to guard Jiangling and Yujin to defend Xianyang. Taking Jing Province. Sun Quan's forces led by Zhou Yu attacked Cao Ren after their resounding victory to wrestle for control of Jiangling. Liu Bei recommended Liu Qi to be the new inspector of Jing Province and led his men to capture the 4 commanderies south of the Yangtze River, Changsha, Lingling, Guiyang and Wuling. Liu Bei set up his base at Gung and continued to strengthen his army. When Liu Qi died shortly after Liu Bei secured his position in the area, the latter succeeded the former as the new governor of Jing Province, and went to Jiani to marry Sun Quan's younger sister Lady Sun in order to legitimatize his succession. After the marriage, not only was Liu Bei's succession recognized by Sun Quan, but the land of Nan Commandery was also lent to him. Subsequently, former subordinates of Liu Bei who were unwilling to serve Cao Cao came to join Liu Bei. After the death of Zhou Yu in 210 and Liu Bei's growing influence in southern Jing Province, Sun Quan's position in the north became more untenable. Lu Su succeeded Zhou Yu as the Grand Viceroy of Sun Quan's armies and moved the headquarters to Lukou, yielding all commanderies of Jing Province and access to the Yi Province to Liu Bei. In diplomatic terms, Sun Quan's side thought that they were lending Jing Province to Liu Bei as a temporary base that should be returned to them after Liu found another stronghold. Establishing the Shu regime, conquering Yi Province. In 211, Li Zhang, governor of Yi Province, heard that Cao Cao planned to attack Jianglu in Hanzhong. As Hanzhong was a strategic location and the gateway for attacks into Yi Province, Li Zhang sent Fa Jiang to form an alliance with Liu Bei after persuasion from Zhang Song. Li Zhang invited Liu Bei to join him in Yi Province to capture Hanzhong before Cao Cao did. Liu Bei led an expedition force into Sichuan after leaving behind Zhu Liang, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei and Cao Yan to guard Jing Province. Liu Zhang received Liu Bei warmly and provided him with more troops under his command as well as provisions and equipment. Liu Bei headed to Jiameng Pass at the border between Liu Zhang and Zhang Lu's territories. Instead of engaging Zhang, Liu Bei halted his advance and focused on building up connections and gaining influence around the area. In 212, Pang Tong outlined 3 plans for Liu Bei to choose from. The first was to advance swiftly to seize Xuande from Liu Zhang with a special task force. The second was to take command of Liu Zhang's armies in the north and then move to capture Xuande. The third one was to return to Beidekeng to await further action. Liu chose the second option. Liu Bei lied to Liu Zhang that he needed more troops to divert Cao Cao's attention away from the east, and requested for another 10,000 soldiers and additional provisions to aid in the defense of Jing province. Liu Zhang gave him only 4,000 troops and half of the other supplies he requested. Zhang Su, Zhang Song's older brother, discovered his brother's secret communications with Liu Bei and reported the issue to Liu Zhang. Liu Zhang was furious and stunned when he heard that Zhang Song had been helping Liu Bei to take over Yi province from him. He had Zhang Song executed, and ordered his generals guarding the passes to Xuande not to let any word about his knowing reach Liu Bei. Still, Liu Bei was informed by his spies planted around Liu Zhang, and before Liu Zhang's men could reach Yanghai and Gaopi, generals guarding Boshui Pass, Liu Bei summoned and killed them on charges of disrespect towards him. He then took over Yanghai's and Gaopi's troops and turned to attack Fucheng. In the spring of 213, Liu Zhang sent Liu Gui, Ling Bao, Zhang Ren, Deng Xian, Wu Yi and other generals to defend Miansu Pass. Despite being the most trusted vassal of Liu Zhang, Wu Yi soon changed allegiance, so Li Yan and Fui Guan were sent to replace him, but they surrendered to Liu Bei as well. Now the remnant force was under command of Liu Zhang's son Liu Zun, and he retreated to Luo. There, Pang Tong was killed by a stray arrow, and the siege became a prolonged one, forcing Liu Bei to call for reinforcements from Jing province. In 214, Luo finally fell, but Liu Zhang continued to hold on inside Xuande. Ma Chao, a former Liang province warlord and a vassal of Zhang Lu, was persuaded by Liu Bei to kill his comrade, Liu Bei, and joined Liu. Upon seeing Ma Chao's army at the north of Xuande, the citizens inside the city was terrified, but they still insisted on fighting a desperate war. However, Liu Zhang surrendered after stating that he did not wish to see further bloodshed. Liu Bei then succeeded Liu Zhang as governor of Yi province and conferred on the latter the seal and tassel of general who inspires awe before expatriating him to Gung. Liu Bei married Wu Yi's sister and attempted to solidify his control on the newly conquered domain. Zhu Liang was promoted to Grand Advisor in charge of the office of the General of the Left, an office that granted him control over all affairs of state. Dong He was appointed Household General of the Army, and acting deputy to Zhu Liang. The rest of Liu Bei's followers, new and old, were entrusted with new responsibilities and promoted to new ranks. Sun Liu territorial dispute. After Liu Bei's conquest of Yi province, Sun Quan sent Lu Su as an emissary to demand for the return of Jing province, but Liu refused. Sun Quan then sent La One Quartermeng and Ling Tong to lead 20,000 men to attack southern Jing province, and they succeeded in capturing Changsha, Guiyang, and Lingaling commanderies. In the meantime, Lu Su and Gan Ning advanced to Yiyang with 10,000 men and took over command of the army at Lukou. Liu Bei personally went to Gung while Guan Yu led 30,000 men to Yiyang. When war was about to break out, Liu Bei received news that Cao Cao was planning to attack Hanzhong, and he requested for a border treaty with Sun Quan as he became worried about Cao Cao seizing Hanzhong. Liu Bei asked Sun Quan to give him back Lingaling commandery and create a diversion for Cao Cao by attacking Hefei. In return, Liu Bei ceded Changsha and Guiyang commanderies to Sun Quan, setting the new border along the Xiang River. Hanzhong Campaign. In 215, Cao Cao defeated Zhang Lu at the Battle of Yangping and seized Hanzhong. Sima Yi and Liu Yi advised him to take advantage of the victory to attack Yi province, since it was still unstable under Liu Bei's new government and Liu himself was away in Jing province. Cao Cao refused and left Xiahou Yuan, Zhang He and Zhu Huang to defend Han's Hong. In anticipation of a prolonged war, Zhang He led his army to Dang in order to relocate the population of Ba to Han's Hong. Meanwhile, Liu Bei appointed Zhang Fei as administrator of Baxi and ordered him to take over the region. Zhang Fei and Zhang He faced each other for 50 days, which concluded with a victory for the former following a surprise attack on the latter. Narrowly escaping, Zhang He retreated to Nanzheng on foot, and the Ba region became part of Liu Bei's territory. In 217, Fa Zheng pointed out the strategic necessities of seizing Hanzhong and advised Liu Bei to drive Cao Cao's force out of the area. Liu Bei sent Zhang Fei, Ma Chao, and several subordinate generals to Wudu, while he assembled an army and advanced to Yangping Pass. Zhang Fei was forced to retreat after his aides Wu Lan and Liu Tong were defeated and killed by Cao Cao's forces. Liu Bei, engaging Xiahou Yuan at Yangping Pass, tried to cut the enemy's supply route by sending his general Chen Qi to Meiming, but was routed by Xiahou's subordinate, Zhu Huang. Liu Bei then pressed on Zhang He at Guangxi but failed to achieve any success. At the same time, Xiahou Yuan and Zhang He were not able to hinder Liu Bei from mobilizing forces around the area. The war turned into a stalemate, and Cao Cao decided to gather an army in Chang to fight Liu Bei. In the spring of 219, Liu Bei and Xiahou Yuan had faced each other for over a year. Liu Bei led the main army to the south of the Mian River and ordered Huang Tsung to set up camps on Mount Dingjun, where Xiahou Yuan's encampment in the valley below could be easily monitored. One night, Liu Bei sent 10,000 troops to attack Zhang He in Guangxi and set fire to Xiahou Yuan's barricades. Xiahou Yuan then led a small detachment to put out the fire and sent the main army to reinforce Zhang He. Fa Zheng saw an opportunity for attack and signaled to Liu Bei to launch an assault. Liu sent Huang Tsung to attack the weakened enemy from above. Huang Tsung targeted Xiahou Yuan's unit and completely routed it. Both Xiahou Yuan and Cao Yong, Cao Cao's appointed inspector of Yi province, were killed in the battle. Zhang He, who had been informally elected to succeed Xiahou Yuan by Du Zai and Guo Hiai, retreated to the northern bank of the Han River, and awaited Cao Cao's reinforcement. Meantime, Liu Bei secured all strategic points at the exit of the passes linking Chang and Hanzhong while Cao Cao was approaching via Jaeger Pass. Liu Bei faced Cao Cao for several months but never engaged the latter in battle, effectively forcing Cao to retreat as his soldiers started to desert. Zhang He also retreated to Xiankang to set up defenses for a potential invasion by Liu Bei. Liu Bei led his main army to Nanzheng and sent Meng Da and Liu Feng to capture Fangaling and Shenyang, becoming an emperor. After Liu Bei secured Hanzhong, he declared himself king of Hanzhong, and set up his headquarters in Xuande. He appointed Liu Shan as the heir apparent. Wei Yan was promoted to the rank of general who maintains distant lands in peace, and administrator of Hanzhong. Zhu Jing was appointed as grand tutor while Fa Zheng was made prefect to the masters of writing. Guan Yu was appointed as general of the vanguard, Zhang Fei as general of the right, Ma Chao as general of the left, and Huang Tsung as general of the rear. In late 219, Sun Quan's forces led by La Wan Quartermen captured Guan Yu, who was promptly executed, and conquered Jing province. After hearing of Guan Yu's death, Liu Bei became furious, and ordered his troops to begin preparing for war with Sun Quan. A year later, Cao Cao died and his successor, Cao Pi, succeeded Emperor Xian to the throne, and declared himself Emperor of Cao Wei. When Meng Da learned that Liu Bei was going to launch a campaign against Sun Quan, he became concerned that he would be penalized for not sending reinforcements to Guan Yu earlier and defected to Wei. At the same time, Cao Yan reminded Liu Bei that he should focus his attack on Wei instead of Sun Quan, but Liu rejected his plan. Seeing that Liu Bei did not make strong defenses against Wei, Meng Da suggested to Cao Pi to attack Fanling, Shenyang, and Xicheng commanderies. Liu Bei's adopted son, Liu Feng, fought a desperate battle against the invaders, but without the support from Xuande, he was betrayed by his subordinates and defeated. Upon his return to Xuande, Liu Bei was furious on Liu Feng's loss and his refusal to send reinforcement to Guanyu in 219, so he had Liu Feng executed. In 221, Liu Bei declared himself Emperor of Shu Han, and claimed his intent was to carry on the lineage of the Han dynasty. He appointed his son Liu Shan as crown prince. Defeat and death. In the autumn of 222, Liu Bei personally led an army to attack Sun Quan to avenge Guanyu and retake Jing province, and left Xu Liang in charge of state affairs back in Xuande. Even though Zhang Fei was murdered by his subordinates during the onset of the battle, Liu Bei was still able to achieve initial victories until Lu Xun, the commander-in-chief of Eastern Wu forces, ordered a retreat to Ailing. Lu Xun held his position there and refused to engage the invaders. By summer, the Shu troops were camped along their invasion route and had grown weary due to the hot weather. Liu Bei then moved his camp into a forest for shade and ordered Huang Quan to lead a portion of his navy to camp just outside the forest. Knowing that his enemy was not expecting a sudden strike, Lu Xun ordered a counterattack and set fire to the Shu camps linked to each other by wooden fences. 40 camps of Liu Bei's expedition force were destroyed in the fire attack and the remaining troops were defeated and forced to flee west to Man Hills, where they set up a defense. Liu Bei was caught up and besieged by Lu on the Man Hills and was attacked before his men could recuperate. Liu Bei managed to escape overnight to Beidekeng, by ordering his men to discard their armor and set them aflame to form a fire blockade to stop Lu Xun's pursuing troops. Liu Bei died in Beidekeng in the summer of 223. On his deathbed, he named Xu Liang and Li Yan as regents to support his son, and his body was brought back to Xuande and entombed at Hailing 4 months later. Liu Bei was given the posthumous name of Tseli. His son, Liu Shan, succeeded him as Emperor of Shu, and Xu Liang revived the alliance with Sun Quan. Family. Appointments and titles held: Commandant of Engxi, Senior Major under Gongsun Zan, Commandant of Gaotang, Prefect of Gaotang, Chancellor of Pingyuan, Inspector of Yu Province, Governor of Zhu Province, General who guards the East, Marquis of Yisheng, General of the Left, Governor of Jing Province, Grand Marshal, Director of Retainers, King of Hanzhong, Emperor Tseli of Shu Han. Liu Bei's posthumous title, in fiction. Romance of the Three Kingdoms is a 14th-century historical novel based on the events that occurred before and during the Three Kingdoms era. Written by Luo Guanzhong more than a millennium after the said period, the novel incorporated many popular folklore and opera scripts into the character of Liu Bei, portraying him as a compassionate and righteous leader, endowed with charismatic potency in Chinese, who built his state on the basis of Confucian values. This is in line with the historical background of the times during which the novel was written. Furthermore, the novel emphasizes that Liu Bei was related, however distantly, to the imperial family of the Han dynasty, thus favoring another argument for the legitimacy of Liu Bei's reign. In the novel, he wielded a pair of double-edged swords called Chuang Gaizhan. See the following for some fictitious stories in Romance of the Three Kingdoms involving Liu Bei: Oath of the Peach Garden, Battle of Hulou Pass, List of fictitious stories in Romance of the Three Kingdoms, 3 Visits to the Thatched Cottage, List of fictitious stories in Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Liu Bei's horse leaps across the Tan stream, List of fictitious stories in Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Liu Bei and Lady Sun's marriage, Battle of Xiaoting in fiction, General worship of Liu Bei. Liu Bei is worshipped as the patron of shoemakers in Xuande, which is also known as the City of Shoes, as more than 80 million pairs of shoes totaling 5 billion yuan in sales are manufactured there annually. It is said that in 1845, during the reign of the Daogang Emperor in the Qing dynasty, the Shoemakers Guild in Xuande, who called themselves disciples of Liu Bei, sponsored the construction of the Sana Temple in Liu's honor. After being relocated many times, the temple can be found in Ehou district today. Since the mainland Chinese government loosened its control on religious practices in recent years, the worship of Liu Bei among shoemakers has again gained popularity in Xuande. In 2005, a large procession was carried out in front of the Sana Temple to commemorate Liu Bei, the first such event since the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949. A commentary carried by the Yangtze Evening Post criticized such practice as mere commercial gimmickry to exploit the fame of Liu Bei. It argued that although Liu Bei sold straw-woven shoes and mats for a living when he was young, he was hardly the inventor of shoes. According to legend, it was Liu Bei who made the first pairs of shoes with softwood during the time of the Yellow Emperor. However, the criticism did not dampen the enthusiastic shoe industry owners in their decision to erect a statue of Liu Bei in the West China Shoe Center Industrial Zone, which was still under construction in Ehou District as of August 2005. Modern references: card games. In the collectible card game Magic: The Gathering there is a card named Liu Bei, Lord of Shu in the Portal Three Kingdoms set. In the selection of hero cards in the Chinese card game Sanguo Sha, there is also a Liu Bei hero that players can select at the beginning of the game. Video games: Liu Bei is featured as a playable character in all installments of Koei's video game series Dynasty Warriors, as well as Warriors Orochi, a crossover between Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors. Liu Bei also appears in another of Koei's video game series, Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Liu Bei is the protagonist in Destiny of an Emperor, a RPG on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Released in the United States by Capcom in 1989, the game also loosely follows the plot of the novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Liu Bei's armor is available in the MMORPG MapleStory. Also featured are Cao Cao, Guan Yu, Zhu Liang, Sun Quan, and Eokin's designs. Liu Bei is featured as one of the protagonists in the real-time game Kessen 2, also produced by Koei. Liu Bei is featured in the sequel to Level 5's game and anime Inazuma 11 Go, Chrono Stone, as well as Cao Cao, Zhu Liang, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Liu Bei is featured as a monster in Puzzle and Dragons as part of the Three Kingdoms God series, along with the two cures, Cao Cao, La One Quarter Bushel, Guan Yu, and many others. See also, List of people of the Three Kingdoms, List of Chinese monarchs, List of Dynasty Warriors characters, Notes. References: De Crespigny, Rafe. To Establish Peace, Being the Chronicle of the Later Han Dynasty for the years 189 to 220 AD is recorded in chapters 59 to 69 of the Zeitungen of Sima Guang. Volume 1. Faculty of Asian Studies, The Australian National University, Canberra. 1996. ISBN 978-0-7315-2526-3, De Crespigny, Rafe. To Establish Peace, Being the Chronicle of the Later Han Dynasty for the years 189 to 220 AD is recorded in chapters 59 to 69 of the Zeitungen of Sima Guang. Volume 2. Faculty of Asian Studies, The Australian National University, Canberra. 1996. ISBN 978-0-7315-2536-2. Fang, Achilles. The Chronicle of the Three Kingdoms. Chapters 69-78 from the Zhu Chitung Kian of Sima Qiang. Volume 1. Harvard University Press, Cambridge, Massachusetts, 1952. Sima, Guang. Zeitungen. Chenshot. Records of Three Kingdoms. Yuluxuxi. ISBN A978-7-80665-198-8. Luo Guanzhong. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Yuluxuxi. ISBN A978-7-80520-013-2. Luo Guanzhong. Tr. C. H. Brewer Taylor. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Tultor Publishing. ISBN A978-0-8048-3467-4. Roberts, Moss, Tr. Three Kingdoms, A Historical Novel. University of California Press. ISBN 978-0-520-22503-9.